Hi, my name is Sarah Keller, and this is my capstone. So how I chose my capstone was definitely a long process that took all 4 years and included many ups and downs and failures. And I have always been told to base my capstone around my passions, and one of my passions is being with and serving people with disabilities such as Down syndrome. One event that led me to discover this passion and calling is an organization called RODS. RODS stands for Racing for Orphans with Down Syndrome. And what I did was in the January, I think 2 years ago, I partnered with them and raised money to race a 5K in Disney World. And that whole event that I did with them was definitely amazing and life-changing and full of God moments. For example, the morning of the race, I woke up and I got ready and I went to their tent right here, and they were handing out big poster board signs that my family could hold up as I was racing to get out the message of RODS. And on the poster, they had a picture of the man who actually started the organization and a little girl that he raced for. She was the first little girl that the organization had done this, where they raised money and brought her from the country she was living in to America so she could get adopted. And that little girl is actually our next door neighbor. So we had no idea it was her until we looked down and we're like, oh my gosh, she's a part of this organization, and we had no idea. And so being a part of that kind of catapulted me into what was my capstone, which was through an organization called Capernaum Young Life. And Capernaum Young Life is just like our high school's Young Life in Farragut and West. It's like all of them, except it gives those with disabilities the opportunity to join in on the fun in a safe and loving environment. And they have the same exact things we do, monthly clubs, different camps. And one of the camps I did for my capstone was day camp. Day camp, I was a buddy at this day camp at Jubilee Farms, which is right here off of Ball Camp Pike. It's super close. And it was over the course of 3 days. I was a buddy at the camp, and that meant that I literally got paired up one-on-one with someone, one of the campers with disabilities, and I was their buddy and their best friend for the week. My buddy was Sarah. She's right there. We had the same name. We called ourselves Sarah Squared, or the Dynamic Duo, and it was really fun. It was a great weekend. What we did, every day was different, but it had the same general outline. We would start our time off together with club just like all the other high schools, except we would do a reverse club where we would start out with the message because it was harder to calm everyone down after we got them hyper. So we'd start off with the message, and the speaker would come up, and she gave the same message every day with a little bit of a different twist on it, just to make sure what the Lord was speaking through her really got to the campers. And she told the story of the little girl who was sick, and her dad went to go get Jesus for her, and it was an amazing story. And the way she told it to them was definitely cool, and to see how they absorbed it. And then after that club and message, we would go into kind of like music and singing and dancing, and then go into our activities of the day. And over the 3 days, we did a bunch of different activities, such as bingo, bowling. We had our own little carnival, which was that one right there, and I'll show you that video. It's a video of me getting pied in the face. And then we also had a talent show. And the talent show, I think, was definitely one of my favorite activities we did, because I loved to see the joy they had from getting up on stage. Like, normally when you think talent show, like, your heart starts racing. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't get up on stage in front of people. But they signed up, and some of the things they did was so hilarious. One guy went up there and just jumped on stage for 2 minutes to a song with no words, and everyone in the crowd was like, yeah, like, woo, go James, like cheering him on like he was a superstar. He got off the stage and was like beaming. He was so happy, and I loved seeing that. And then this video, I'll have to see if I can play it from here. There we go. Yeah, it was super fun. I smelled like whipped cream for the rest of the day, but it was okay. I loved it. It was all for her. And fears. The fears I had were so many, like countless fears going into this. I had times where I didn't want to go because I was just so scared of it going poorly. I was so nervous about meeting Sarah. The only thing I knew about her was that she had slow mental and verbal processing skills. And I remember hearing that and just freaking out I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to deal with this? I've never been in this situation. Am I going to ask her a question? And her just stand there and look at me and not be able to say what she's thinking. But it was not like that at all. We met each other and were glued at the hip. We talked about our passions, things we loved, her favorite TV shows and songs, and I remember we started talking because she was wearing a shirt that had Paris on it, and we were talking about places she wanted to travel, and then a song came on that she loved, so we went over and started dancing and singing, and she's one of my best friends, and it was amazing. We still keep in contact. We Snapchat each other, text as much as often, so it was definitely really cool gaining a friend. What I would have changed, I honestly don't think I would have changed very much about the experience I had there because I loved it and I enjoyed every moment at the camp and with the campers and with everyone who was involved in the camp process. But the one thing I do think I would change would be when I got involved with this organization. I wish I would have gotten involved a lot sooner and joined in on their clubs and events that they had leading up to this because I loved it so much. And even if I wasn't involved with them, I wish I would have gotten involved in organizations similar to them. So that's probably the things I would have changed. And then what I learned so much from these campers, the leaders that were there, and even myself. At camp, I was definitely shown an actual picture of joy and pure love. These campers found purpose in everything they did, from bingo to a talent show, and like bingo especially was definitely really cool to see how they reacted to that. I know if we asked CAK high schoolers to join in a game of bingo, they would definitely whine a lot about it, but they loved it. They would get just one slot cover that wasn't anywhere near a bingo, and they'd be jumping in the air, like cheering, like fist pumping, high-fiving one another because they got B47. And so it was definitely really cool to see how they reacted to something like that. And it made me realize how joyful they are, and it definitely rubs off on you, and it was cool. Another thing I learned was patience and humility. I realized that weekend that I've been living a very high-speed life. I'm very this, and that weekend I reminded myself and had to relearn how to be slow and to realize the reason why I was there that weekend was to serve them and just to be with them. And it was a super humbling experience. And another humbling experience I had was the talent show with Sarah. I went up there and I wasn't like I was holding a mic or I was singing or anything. I was just standing next to her, cheering her on as she was singing this Kelly Clarkson song, owning it and loving it. And so that was also really humbling, just to be her support up there while she's showcasing this talent that she has. And then the last thing that I think I learned was how to truly see people. Being with them definitely opened my eyes to realize who they are and their humanity. Oftentimes people see someone with a disability and they think that they are their disability, and they're not. Sorry. Definitely really gets to me because they're so awesome and great people. So I definitely want to carry that mindset for the rest of my life, to see Sarah not as someone with slow mental processing skills, but as someone who loves life, loves movies and tacos. So love that, and I definitely want to live that way. And I'm going to carry that into my now. What am I going to do now? So sadly, day camp had to come to an end, and I definitely was bawling on my way home, driving, listening to the songs that we listened to. But it also left me with just a feeling of desire. I desired more after that weekend. I desired a life that was more full, because that weekend I definitely lived a very fulfilling life. And it is something that I'm going to carry on for the rest of my life. And like I said earlier, it made me want to slow down and to take things on that are going on around me and realize who people truly are as well. And since I will be at UT next year, I'm going to continue to be a part of Capernaum as much as I can. I definitely want to go through their quest process. I think I'm going to meet up with CAK's Young Life leader, Hannah, and figure out what exactly that entails to be a Capernaum leader and to be placed at a high school in Knoxville and make relationships with the students there that are a part of Capernaum. So I definitely want to do that, and also find other organizations I can be a part of with similar messages and purposes. I loved every minute of day camp and will never forget any of it, and can't wait to live life with that experience behind me. Thank you.